3 AI-written scary stories. Chapter 3. Story 1. I thought I was going to this cabin for a nice and relaxing time with my friends. The first night we were there, I heard something horrible outside. I looked outside and saw nothing except fog and rain. It was the most terrifying night of my life. A scream cut through the trees, echoing loudly off the hard surface of the lake. The scream was immediately muffled, but still rang through the air, long after it was over. I heard the loud thump of something being dropped. We all ran outside. The fog covered everything, and there was nothing to be seen. We stood outside for several minutes before giving up. Our cabin was the last one in the row, and the only one with a lake view. When we went back inside, my friends were still shaken. Back then I didn't believe in the supernatural. The next morning, I was the first one to wake up. The others were still asleep, so I decided to go outside for a stroll. I looked out of the window and thought I saw something strange. I opened the window and leaned out. There was a girl on a boat, looking out into the fog. She had long dark hair, and it looked like she was having a nice day. I heard the sound of a door opening, and a chill ran down my spine. I jerked my head towards the door, and instead of my friends, I saw a man. He was tall and his face was covered in mud, as were his clothes. He was holding a shovel and some ropes. He had blood all over his clothes. I ran back inside to wake my friends up. I grabbed my phone and my friends did the same. We all quickly left the cabin. As we walked away, the man started to follow us. He was walking fast and he was grunting. He was holding the shovel in one hand and the ropes in the other. His hair was long and he looked like he hadn't showered in a long time. He was yelling something, but we couldn't understand it. We got to the parking lot and got in my car. He kept on following us, running very fast. He ran right in front of my car and jumped in front of us. The front bumper hit him, and he flew back several feet into the woods. I drove out of the parking lot as fast as I could. We stopped at a gas station and called the cops. They said they would do their best to find the man and looked into the cabin. They found nothing. It's strange that all I can remember of this man is his muddy clothes and a shovel. This happened to me in the mid-90s.
Story 2. Late in the summer of 1995, when I was 17 years old, I was hanging out with some friends at one of their houses. We were drinking beer in the backyard, half listening to a baseball game and half talking nonsense, like boys do. When I went to the bathroom, standing in front of the sink, running water from the faucet over my hands and face. I looked up at the mirror and then back down at the sink, and when my eyes returned to the mirror, they met the eyes of a strange man staring out of it at me. He stood behind me. When I spun around to see who it was, no one was there. I looked up at the mirror again and saw the same man standing behind me, staring back into my eyes with an intense gaze before laughing maniacally. I screamed bloody murder and ran out of the bathroom, right into a group of my friends that had come in search for me. They tried calming me down while asking what happened that made me so scared, but all I could do was point at the bathroom door where he still stood watching us from inside before his image began fading away slowly until nothing remained. I told my parents and we visited a medium/psychic who said she couldn't contact the spirit that was haunting me and therefore couldn't help us. It wasn't until 2 years ago when I started studying parapsychology in college that I became aware of what this entity was. When seeing him in the mirror, he is always standing directly behind whoever sees him, no matter their age or size. Because of that, when you see his reflection in any reflective surface, he appears to be wearing a hat backwards. He has short hair on top with longer hair combed over on the sides to completely cover his ears. His skin is pallid with slight facial hair around the mouth area. His eyes are slightly sunken in and black, with no whites showing. He always looks angry and is considered to be a very negative spirit. This man is known as the Hat Man and is considered to be one of the most common types of ghosts that people encounter. He's been seen all over the world, usually appearing in mirrors, but sometimes also in windows or other reflective surfaces. It's unclear who he was in life or why he's chosen to stick around after death, but he's generally considered to be a harbinger of doom and misfortune. Many people who have seen him say they feel an intense sense of dread or fear when encountering him, and that he seems to bring nothing but bad luck. While there isn't much concrete information about him, it's generally recommended that if you see the Hat Man in a mirror, to immediately recite a prayer or positive mantra to try and dispel him. Some people also claim that he's not always malevolent and sometimes appears to warn people of danger or impending doom, so it's important to stay calm and aware if you encounter him. If the Hat Man continues to bother you after repeated efforts to get rid of him, it might be best to seek out professional help. I still have nightmares about him from time to time, but I've also grown to accept that he is a part of my life now. He's never hurt me physically, but just the sight of him is enough to send shivers down my spine. While some may consider him to be nothing more than a scary story, I know that he's real and that he's not going away anytime soon. Be careful if you ever encounter him, as he definitely isn't someone to be taken lightly.
Story 3. One night in October 1998, just after my family and I had moved into a small house in a very rural area. My sister and I were at home, and my parents were at work. The house was old and had a basement. My dad was the only one brave enough to go down there and do laundry and run the furnace. Even he said there was this creepy feeling he got while down there. I, as the older sister, went to the store just around the corner to buy us some snacks. As I was walking back home, I felt as if someone was watching me. I closed my eyes for a moment and opened them. I quickly ran to my house and locked the door. I was so scared that I didn't even get a chance to go down into the basement. My sister just laughed at me for being scared of nothing, but she agreed not to open the door until our parents came home from work. Nothing happened that night. But a few weeks later, my sister was taking a nap on the couch and I was in my room. I heard a loud scream coming from the living room. I ran out there and my sister was just sitting up with terror in her eyes. She said she had a dream of someone coming into the house and trying to kill her. After that, we never wanted to be home alone again. We would always try to be together or have one of our parents home with us. Almost a year have passed without an incident and we slowly forgot about it. Then, one night when I was home alone, my sister was at her boyfriend's house. The streetlight outside went out, so it was pitch black outside. That made me feel extremely uncomfortable because I could not see anything. All of a sudden, there were loud bangs coming from the basement door. So I sat on the couch, turned off all of the lights so that if someone came in, they might trip over something and give me a chance to get away. Then all of a sudden, there were loud knocks on the sliding glass door right next to where I was sitting on the couch. I screamed as loudly as I could, calling for help, but no one heard me except myself. I then called the police and they came and arrested someone who was trying to break into the house. These events have made me very paranoid, and I always think that something bad is going to happen. Even though nothing has happened in a while, I still can't help but feel scared. Maybe it's just because of where we live now. We recently moved to a much bigger city, and I don't feel as if I'm being watched all the time. But I know that if something were to happen, I would be the first one to know about it, and that terrifies me. So there you have it, my experience with being home alone. It's definitely not a fun one.
Thank you for listening to 3 AI Written Scary Stories, Chapter 3. Remember that the stories featured here are all fictional. Stay safe and good night.